Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. All right, Magic fans. When the NBA decided to create the NBA Cup, the top thing that they had in mind was creating interest in regular season games. And they have done that tonight for Orlando and Detroit. It's a win or get in scenario for these two teams in the Motor City. The Magic 3-0 in NBA Cup action. The Detroit Pistons 2-1 in NBA Cup action. But because the tiebreaker comes down to head-to-head, everything will be riding on tonight's matchup between your Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons. And both teams have been playing sensational basketball. The Detroit Pistons sit atop the East with a 15-3 record. The Orlando Magic have won 10 of their last 14 games since starting off 1-4, with that fourth loss coming to the hands of the Detroit Pistons. So when you talk about the tale of two seasons for the Orlando Magic, it really started to shift after their loss to the Pistons. So the Pistons, even though the Magic are sans Paolo Banchero, are going to get a tougher test and a tougher Magic team than the one that they faced earlier this season. So when you look at what's changed for the Orlando Magic over the season, well, they recaptured their defensive identity. Since that stretch, that last 14-game span that we're talking about, the Orlando Magic are both top 5 in offense and top 7 in defense. And it's really been their defensive identity that has started this shift, because it's their defense that is generating their offense. Turnovers, fast break points, all of those areas the Orlando Magic are excelling at right now. And we saw that in Philadelphia right before Thanksgiving. Anthony Black was the head of the snake in that matchup, coming off the bench to score 31 points, a career high for AB, 27 of those coming in the first half. That guy's been sensational. Another guy who's led the defensive charge has been Jalen Suggs, as we saw on screen with Jalen warming up. He has been phenomenal, really playing both ends, stuck up for his guy, Wendell Carter Jr., got ejected from that last outing, but everybody spoke highly of Jalen Suggs afterwards, because he is what this team is all about. Being there for one another, supporting your teammates, and really having each other's back regardless of the circumstances. So, as you know, with Magic Game Day Live, as you've seen with Courtside Countdown, this is an interactive show. So we're more than happy to answer your questions. So shoot them to me, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. More than happy to answer them. See Godzilla talking about Suggs and Wagner going to combine for 50 points tonight. Well, that certainly has the possibility to happen, because I think Franz Wagner is playing some sensational team basketball right now. And Jalen Suggs, as we know, when it's a big matchup, that guy rises to the occasion. He loves playing the villain on the road, and against a team where he knows the stakes. He knows that tonight is win or get in. He's going to be giving it his all on both ends of the court. So the only thing in my mind that can stop Jalen from contributing 20 to 25 in that range would be foul trouble if he gets a little bit overly eager and gets a little too aggressive on the defensive end and isn't necessarily playing within the framework of the team's defense. Bane's doing fine. Paolo, when will Paolo be back? That's the $1 million question. With Paolo Banchero, he is steadily progressing, making progress. But, there hasn't been much practice time. So it'll be interesting when the team comes off this road trip, gets back to Orlando. We'll probably have a better sense of when we'll see Paolo Banchero once again. We're winning tonight from Adam Buckles. I like that approach. I think that's the type of mindset the Magic are playing with right now. They believe that regardless of their opponent, they can win. When you look at the metrics over the last 14 games, they've been playing even better basketball than the Pistons, who sit at 15-3 and atop the East. So there is no matchup right now that Orlando believes it cannot win. Between Wagner, Suggs, Bane, AB, anyone could be the top scorer, it seems. That is like reading the mindset of Magic head coach Jamal Mosley. We know he loves to say this team does it by committee, and that's the exact type of approach. If you try to double up and take Franz Wagner out of the game right now, his teammates will kill you, whether it's Desmond Bain, Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva has been heated up from the outside. They have a plethora of options that they can turn to create scoring. Desmond Bain has taken that next step as he started to become acclimated with this team. So they have a ton of options. Knowles 86, wants to jinx the Magic a little bit here, saying he's curious if we lose, what would happen? Well, look, yes, the NBA Cup is very complicated in this way. If they get in, the Magic win East Group B, and they are in the next round of the NBA Cup, and we'll be hosting a game at the Kia Center. Me and our producer, Jason Dubier, will be happy because that means that's one more game at home and one less time we have to explain to our wives while we're on the road. So that's the easy outcome. The more difficult one, which is the one you're alluding to, if they lose, they still have a path forward, but they're going to have to keep things close. You're not going to be able to lose by a lot because it gets complicated. Then they're going to either need a Cleveland Cavaliers loss, or they're going to need to be able to win the tiebreaker over the Cavs, and then also win the tiebreaker, which the first tiebreaker in that scenario will come down to point differential over the team in East Group C. So that is also possible. That can very likely happen. However, the Magic would still have to make sure it's a close game between them and the Pistons tonight, even if they do lose. Now, there's other paths where they could lose by a little bit more, but let's not think about that. Let's come away with a win, host a game at Kia Center. Franz in the Mask needs a nickname. There's been a lot of good ones. There's been, fans have really liked the Phantom of the Opera when he was playing against the Knicks, where the mask really became of legend. So we've seen that, but yes, you're right. Magic fans do need to work on getting a good nickname for Franz with the mask, because he is playing at a next level since he's put that on. What do you think the Magic's going to win, or do you believe in Detroit? I believe the Magic are going to come away with a win tonight. If they play to a similar fashion as the Celtics did, who got a win over the Pistons in Cup action just a couple nights earlier. And what they did is down the stretch, they did a good job of getting the ball out of Cade Cunningham's hands and forcing other guys to beat them. And they trusted their one-on-one defenders. Look, the Magic have plenty of defenders they could trust as long as they know their personnel tonight. And if those guys do that, they execute the game plan, I think they'll be in fine shape to come away with a win in Detroit. On ESPN, it says Mo Wagner is projected to be back December 3rd. I think that's probably a little bit early with any predictions that ESPN's doing. He still hasn't done any team action yet, but he is working hard and steadily making progress. But no, I don't think that's exactly going to be when he returns. Magic has to do a better job on defense to stop Cade. Yes, compared to that first outing where Cade Cunningham dropped over 30 points and 10 assists, the Magic will have to do a better job. And I think that's the biggest area the Magic have improved since that first outing, is their point of attack defense is so much better. And that comes down to three guys tonight. You're going to see Anthony Black doing that. You're going to see Jalen Suggs doing that. And you're going to see Franz Wagner doing that. Those three guys will probably be in a rotation on Cade Cunningham. But it comes down to all five guys, because where Cade will kill you is if you're not playing him one-on-one, or if he's not able to get those type of matchups, he is more than willing to pass to his help teammates. So you got to be glued to your guys at all times. If you're guarding a guy like Duncan Robinson, for example, you know that you have to be up against him and run him off the three-point line. A guy like Tobias Harris is going to look to either shoot the open three or drive, so you have to guard him a little bit differently. So they have a plethora of guys, and it's really a know your personnel type of night. I love that. We're cheering you on from Japan. The Magic have fans all over the map. We've seen this year they're going to be traveling internationally later to Germany and then London. So there's going to be an opportunity for fans all around the globe to check out some Magic basketball this year. And hopefully, you can make a trip across the seas to make that happen. What else do we have going on in the chat? And feel free to keep shooting them off in both YouTube and Twitter, as well as TikTok. AB off the bench for a strong 20. That certainly can happen. And we've seen there's a strong correlation when Anthony Black puts up over 10 points a game and the Magic winning. It almost is certain to happen in some ways. And when he crosses 20, those numbers get even better. So the Magic will be looking to get AB going and keep building on a sensational performance that he had against the Philadelphia 76ers the other night. Some other things that I'll be looking for your Orlando Magic is, over the last 14 games, they have the fifth ranked offense, 121 to be exact in terms of the advanced numbers. Where that has really gotten going is in terms of their ball movement. The Magic have had 9 players in double figures against the Philadelphia 76ers. That was a franchise record. So often it got capped out at 8 guys over the course of their history over the last 18 years. The Magic finally broke through that, and that's because they have guys up and down the roster right now who are contributing. And so some guys who I feel like could be the X factor tonight, other than Anthony Black, who we already got into, is a guy like Tristan da Silva, who filling in for Paolo Banchero has, put up some steady numbers. His relocation shooting has been sensational. I'm looking for a big night for Tristan tonight because I think Pistons are really going to try to take away the Magic driving to the basket. They have a guy back there like Jalen Duren who can assist at that along with their on-ball defenders. So I really think they're going to need a big game out of Tristan, putting up some three-point attempts. Desmond Bane as well. They're going to need his outside shooting tonight. This is a type of matchup where those type of guys can have such a big impact, and I think they'll be big X factors tonight. Can Franz make the All-Star team? I absolutely think not only can he make the All-Star team, but he should be an All-Star. And not only do his offensive numbers suggest that he should be an All-Star, where he differs from a lot of first options on team, as Franz is right now with Paolo out, is that Franz guards both ends of the ball. So not only is he the primary option for the Orlando Magic on offense, but so often he is the primary defender guarding the team's top wing player. And there are a lot of All-Stars up and down the list when you look at those names that are not doing that and not doing it with the efficiency and effectiveness that Franz Wagner is. So often those guys are standing in a corner or guarding a guy who's only one-dimensional, and Franz is often guarding very high-level three-dimensional scorers. So, yes. Do I think Franz compares to Hito? I think Franz is a little bit more of a downhill attacker. He's got great vision. He's got a little bit more in his bag going to the basket than Hito. But Hito certainly had the big outside shots in some of the biggest moments. And where I do think that they compare is that Franz is a 6'10 playmaker in similar fashion to the same way that Hito was. They just do it in a little bit different form. So, but that is a comparison that he had coming into the NBA, and I think he's, even pushing himself past that level. And we're going to take a quick look at the standings of both the NBA level and as well as you take a look at the NBA Cup as well. The Magic compare in good fashion to the Pistons, and they're starting to get so the biggest difference tonight is you look later down the road, a win over the Pistons could have big impact in terms of postseason standings. While the Pistons have a couple games on the Magic now, maybe sitting on top of the Eastern Conference, as we look later down the road, that may not necessarily be the case. So for the Orlando Magic, a win tonight can help them in the NBA Cup as they sit atop Group B with a plus point differential of 61. The Pistons sit with 24. The Celtics are going to find themselves out of it. Most likely the Nets, 76ers eliminated. And so where the Orlando Magic can do their biggest difference right now is they can both knock the Pistons out of it and guarantee that they'll host an NBA Cup game by winning tonight. And that point differential hugely in the Magic's favor right now at plus 61, among the best in the East overall, which is why they still have a chance even if they lose tonight to advance. But we're not going to think about that. We're going to think about the Orlando Magic winning and hosting an NBA Cup game at the Kia Center. The Orlando Magic are the third best team in the NBA according to net rating, according to AJ, since their 1-4 start, only behind the Rockets and Thunder. That's correct. Yeah, the Orlando Magic have one of the best net ratings, 10.3, since that 1-4 start. And so there's been a lot of guys that have been at the center of that But truly at the center of that for the Orlando Magic has been Wendell Carter Jr., who we saw warming up right there, as well as the masked man, Franz Wagner. Those two have been sensational. We've seen alley-oop connections between them, but where Wendell has been so fantastic, along with his versatility, which we know he has, is his rim protection. It is at an elite level right now. There's a stat out there from NBA University floating around on Twitter today that you might have seen about how many points per game Wendell Carter Jr. is saving by being out in the court for the Orlando Magic, among the top 3 players in the NBA right now. So that's a guy that deserves all the flowers and then some right now for the Orlando Magic defense. He is just a guy that, regardless of who's out there on the perimeter, he feels comfortable switching out to him and guarding. And then down low is doing such a good job of rebounding and help protecting the rim. And I think where his teammates have got better is really defending at the point of attack, not putting them in immensely difficult situations like they were earlier in the year. And so we see his numbers: 12.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, almost 2 assists per game, while shooting a very efficient 54% from the field. His 3-point numbers have gone up this season. So Wendell's having himself a career season right now, has become one of the Orlando Magic's most valuable players in that starting lineup because of what he does on the defensive end. So much of what Wendell does, his teammates constantly remind people, doesn't show up on the box score. The ultimate pro. When you look at what Andre Drummond was trying to do in that Philadelphia 76ers game, he was willing to sacrifice himself and get ejected to try to get Wendell out of the game because he thought it would have such an immense impact. So that's the type of that you're talking about right now, where other players' only option against him is to get self-ejected with him because they can't contain Wendell right now. So that's the type of level that he's playing at. Is Jaden Ivey back for Detroit tonight? The last I checked, that was still up. He was questionable. I'll do a quick search right now to see where Ivey stands. He will be available tonight, according to Detroit reporters. And there's video of him warming up on the court right now. So they'll have most of their horses available to them, which I love. Beat them at their best. And I think the Orlando Magic are fully capable of doing that. Carter plays his game this season. Absolutely. He is playing phenomenal basketball, and I think the sky's the limit for Wendell, as he often likes to say about his teammates. Vincent, Magic fan since '89, beat Detroit, win the cup from the Philippines. Really loving the international flavor we're having in the chat tonight. Yes, I think it would be so huge. And if Pat Williams were still around, he loved fans who were there from the inception, played such a huge role in getting the hype for the team, bringing it to Orlando, and then getting those early season ticket holders. So always a special place for fans who were around since the beginning and have been through all the ups and downs with this franchise. It's amazing. There's still a few employees with the team, like broadcaster David Steele, et cetera, that have been there from the get-go. So love seeing that. Trying to go over to TikTok as well to see a few of those comments. We've had plenty on YouTube as well as over on Twitter as well. So keep them coming along. More than happy to answer them. And just as a reminder, tonight's game is on Fox Sports Florida. I'm sorry, FanDuel Sports Network Florida. There's going to be plenty of pregame coverage with David Steele, Jeff Turner, Kendra, Dante, the whole gang getting you ready for the show tonight. Tina over on TikTok, Wendell's reaction to Drummond, yes, that was one of a kind. Wendell did a great job of remaining poised in that situation and still, making Drummond look silly. So that's the way you want to come out of those things. Caleb, is Anthony Black going to have a breakout season? I think he already is having a breakout season. What we've seen from Anthony Black this year is some of the flashes that we saw last year are becoming more and more consistent. And if he continues to play it the way he did in Philadelphia, other teams are in a lot of trouble in the Eastern Conference. And it just raises the ceiling for this Orlando Magic team because not many teams have a guy like that can impact the game on coming off their bench right now. I mean, he is a guy that secured more and more minutes as things go along. Uh, Dell stepped up, absolutely. Yes, he did. Blakely showing his support for the Orlando Magic. Appreciate that. Keep the questions coming on both Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, all those, etc. Chat. Who do you think the Magic have a chance at winning the NBA title? I, when they made that Desmond Bain trade, that was signaling to the NBA that they're ready to be title contenders. Now, that whether or not that happens this season, next season, or years in the near future, they set themselves up for it. When they made that trade, there was not a core player that was over 26 years old, extremely young, but they have to win a playoff series first. And that's the first step to getting there is to secure home court. So I think that's where the Orlando Magic are focused on right now is make sure they're playing their best basketball come April. Hopefully they've amassed enough wins to host a playoff series, win a playoff series, and then the rest of it starts to take care of itself. Do you have numbers on how many Magic fans watch games from Europe? I do not have those off the top of my hand, but I'll tell you this. When the NBA decided to pick the Orlando Magic to play in Germany and to play in London and play a 2-game set there, a big part of that was the numbers that they see from fans interested in the Magic overseas, especially in Europe. So that type of support that they got there granted the Orlando Magic that opportunity. And there are huge numbers coming out of Germany. Magic fans want to watch Franz Wagner, Tristan da Silva, and Mo Wagner as well when he's on the court. If the Magic win the championship this year, does it mean that P5 is the best Magic player in team history? Well, it certainly helps him in the conversation. You look at the longevity of Dwight Howard. You look at what Shaquille O'Neal did in his time, T-Mac of his impact. But I do think that if Paolo Banchero wins a championship in Orlando and tacks on a few years after that, it's going to be a no-brainer just because fans in Orlando will probably build a statue for any player that's responsible for bringing a championship to Orlando. What are the keys to beating the Pistons? That's a good point right there. So where the Pistons have been so deadly is when Cade is operating the show. And we saw that firsthand earlier in the season, Game 5, as Cade gets 30 and 10 and damages the Orlando Magic on both ends of the floor, not only with his shooting, but with his passing as well. So what you have to do for the Orlando Magic is, one, not let Cade get comfortable. You have to take him out of his spots, sometimes show him 2 bodies, get really into him before he even gets the basketball. And then on top of that, when you do force a pass, you have to know the personnel that he's passing to. So, for example, if it's Duncan Robinson, you've got to close out hard. If it's Jalen Duren down low, you've got to really maintain your point of impact. If it's Tobias Harris, you close, but you don't quite close as hard as a Duncan Robinson because he's capable of putting the ball on the floor and going to the basket. So it's a really important game where you know your opposing personnel because they have so many guys that can really go to the basket as well. You look at Ivy, for example. While he's known predominantly for driving to the basket, and that's the number one thing you want to take away from him, over the course of last season, he improved his 3-point shooting numbers some. So he's got a few areas where he could really attack you. So it's really a know your personnel type of night for the Orlando Magic, and not just doing a few key things well. When Paolo and Mo come back, what do they need to do to not ruin the flow of the team right now? Look, number one, defend. That's going to be the first thing on either of those players' buckets, because right now, what's really changed the course of the Magic season is what they've been doing on the defensive end of the floor. And 2, quick decisions. I think that's where the Magic's offense has grown so much, is you have less players thinking and they're instead reacting off instinct. So whether it's Paolo or Mo, just getting into quick offense early. I think where Paolo can really help is with the Magic's half-court offense, because there will be games over the course of the season, especially in the playoffs once they get there, where you're really going to have to rely on your half-court offense, and then you're absolutely going to need a player like Paolo Banchero who can create his own shot as well as shots for others. So they're doing a good job of staying afloat without him, but we need Paolo back as soon as possible. That's a great point by Mike here, who noticed that Dez has taught the other guards that sweeping, drying layup with the right arm. He's noticed Suggs and AB using it a lot lately. Between Desmond Bain, between God, Sham God. There's a lot of guys on this coaching staff and on the team, Dez being a primary one of them, helping with the finishing at the rim. And that's a great thing you noticed, Mikey, because that was something Josh Cohen and I on the Orlando Magic staff were talking about just a couple of games ago about how Dez is so good with that kind of scoop shot going to the rim and finishing at a high percentage. And when you look at the transition finishing numbers, Anthony Black, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, all among the top 5, top 10 players in the NBA in transition finishing percentage. And that's why the Magic's defense, getting stops, has become so important, because when they get out and run, they have 3 guys on this roster, among a few others, who are just flat out deadly and among the best in the NBA in finishing in transition. An area they have to keep up. Yeah, God Sham God has done wonders with AB. And another guy who's not getting enough credit for the work he's done with AB is Tyus Jones. He is a guy who's really helped Anthony Black see the floor better, be more of a floor general, and really kind of read and react as he sees things going along. So there's players up and down. As they say, it takes a village in the NBA. And God Sham God, Tyus Jones, who we're seeing there right now, are among the ones. Joe Prunty, who's come over from Milwaukee and just done a great job with his coaching staff in expanding the offense and really finding ways to take advantage of their stops in transition. He's at the forefront of that. So Mose has done a great job, and Jeff Weltman, along with Anthony Parker, have done a good job of assembling a roster that can really take advantage of not only the Magic's strengths, but then accentuate their young players as well. So you look at a guy like Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane. What do? They bring up the people around them. They bring up their floors, help them out along the way. So those were 2 huge additions for the Orlando roster. And then, so Magic fans, just so you make sure you remember, while coverage will start at 7 p.m. tonight on FanDuel Sports Network Florida, the game won't start till 7:30 p.m. That'll be early for those of you here in Orlando. A little later for those of you in Orlando, a little bit earlier if you're out in Detroit. That'll be a 6:30 tip there. So coverage is going to start in about 15 minutes on FanDuel Sports Network Florida. Dante Marcatelli on the call tonight alongside Jeff Turner, Kendra Douglas. David Steele will be there, I'm sure, in spirit and with some interesting "is this anything" if they present themselves. So we see Kendra and Jeff Turner right there right now warming up. So make sure to tune in tonight. This is as good as it gets, Magic fans, for a regular season game. Win and you're in the NBA Cup. We're not even going to talk about the other circumstances. Knock the Pistons out. And let's get a home game for the NBA Cup and then a trip to Las Vegas. I'm all about it. And so for all you Magic fans, we'll see you on Monday for Courtside Countdown with Kendra Douglas back at the Kia Center. And until then, see you next time.